Welcome back to our channel. Found in an old drawer, sold for $75,000. This rare dime might be in your home right now. Subscribe for more coin finds. 1977 was a year of shifting tides in America. The country had just welcomed a new president, the space race had matured into orbital cooperation, and disco ruled the airwaves. Amid these cultural currents, the United States Mint continued its relentless pace of producing coinage for a growing economy. Among the coins struck that year, the Roosevelt dime, named for the late President Franklin D. Roosevelt, saw no major redesigns or national attention. It was expected to be routine, predictable, safe. But inside the metallic hum of presses at the Philadelphia Mint, something went unexpectedly wrong. A subtle deviation. A misstep not caught by quality control. One that would eventually give rise to a numismatic whisper, an error that would remain buried in circulation for years before drawing curious eyes. No major headlines marked the release of the 1977 dime. Like many other years, its production topped hundreds of millions. Coins from this year bore no mint mark if produced in Philadelphia, a normal practice at the time. The obverse carried Roosevelt's well-known profile, clean and consistent, while the reverse showcased the torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. But amid the standardized dies and predictable output, a handful of coins quietly defied expectations. The anomaly first emerged from a car wash in Ohio. A man running a coin-operated vacuum had emptied the machine's intake box and noticed, among the grimy pile of dimes, one that shimmered oddly under sunlight. At first glance, it looked ordinary. But a closer inspection revealed something off. The torch lines on the reverse looked thicker, as if the engraving had doubled. The United States of America text appeared slightly raised in shadow, and the letters dime at the bottom seemed echoed. He kept it, unsure of what exactly made it different, but certain it was worth further scrutiny. Months passed before the coin ended up on a local collector's desk. With a magnifier, it became apparent this wasn't wear or post-mint damage. The doubling was precise, so clean and deliberate that it could only be the result of a double die. But what made it stand out even more was the degree to which the reverse showed the error compared to the obverse. While Roosevelt's portrait remained mostly clean, the reverse had clear doubling in the torch flames, strong outlines in the leaves, and bold duplication in the lettering. It wasn't random. It was a textbook example of a reverse double die strike, hidden in plain sight for decades. Only a few collectors believed it at first. Double dies from the 1970s were known but not common for dimes. Unlike the high-profile cent errors of the same era, dime anomalies rarely made headlines. But this coin was undeniable. Word began to spread within tight collector communities. It was posted on online forums, photographed under microscope lenses, and slowly earned recognition among error coin enthusiasts. And as more eyes focused on 1977 dimes, a small number of similar coins began to surface, each one showing nearly identical doubling on the reverse. The mint records for 1977 gave no mention of production irregularities. But those who understood the process knew how easily a misalignment during the hubbing stage could create a double die. If a working die was impressed twice at slightly different angles or with misregistered pressure, the result would be a permanent doubling on all coins it struck. And that's what had happened here. A die, likely used only briefly, had introduced a rare and stunning flaw into the Philadelphia Mint's 1977 output. The market was slow to react, but not for long. By the late 2000s, verified examples of the 1977 reverse double die dime were being authenticated by grading services. The earliest certified coins carried grades of -58 Australian dollars and MS-62, with minor surface wear but dramatic doubling. Initial sales hovered in the hundreds. But when a pristine MS-66 full-band specimen hit auction in 2011, collectors took notice. The full band's designation, indicating sharply defined lines on the torch, meant the strike was nearly flawless, and the doubling only enhanced its appeal. That coin sold for $17,600, shattering previous estimates. The price trend was upward from there. Demand intensified as awareness spread. coin roll hunters began searching bank boxes with new vigor. Dealers advertised 1977 dimes with any unusual reverse features. And a subtle race began, not just to find one, but to find the best one. Red copper spots, contact marks, and luster quality suddenly mattered immensely. Collectors knew the right specimen could redefine the upper limits of value for this quietly legendary error. Then came a revelation from an unexpected corner. A retired U.S. Mint employee, during a private collector convention in 2016, mentioned having seen the defective die back in the late 1970s. He recalled that the die had been flagged internally but never removed from use, possibly due to time constraints or lack of severity recognition. According to his memory, the die was used briefly for 1 or 2 batches and then retired. His recollection wasn't official, but it supported the theory that only a very limited run of these dimes carried the dramatic doubling. The twist in this coin story came shortly after. A collector in Arizona submitted a 1977 dime to a grading service, expecting a common MS-65 grade. But during evaluation, it became clear the coin didn't just have reverse doubling, it also showed light evidence of a die clash. Faint outlines of Roosevelt's profile were barely visible on the reverse, a result of the obverse and reverse dies striking each other without a planchet between them. The combination was extraordinary. It was one thing to find a doubled die. It was another to find a clashed die with doubling. This hybrid error was confirmed and graded MS-66. Within weeks, it sold privately to a prominent collector of dime varieties for over $25,000. Since then, the market for 1977 dime errors has remained niche but fervent. Only a few dozen examples have been certified with the clean reverse doubling that defines this variety. Some are in average condition, circulated, worn. Others remain in high mint state, untouched by the years. But the competition for those top-tier coins is fierce. Every detail matters: strike sharpness, luster, even the angle of the doubling. These aren't just error coins, they're windows into a specific moment when the mint's process briefly veered from perfection. Modern collectors view the 1977 reverse double die dime as a symbol of unexpected treasure. It represents the possibility that even in the most ordinary pockets, something exceptional might be hiding. A reminder that errors don't need to be dramatic to be valuable, just rare, real, and beautifully flawed. Today, as prices for rare error coins continue to climb, the 1977 Roosevelt dime with this particular doubling has carved out a permanent place in the market. For verified high-grade specimens, especially those with sharp detail and eye appeal, auction prices now range from $45,000 to $120,000. Not bad for a 10-cent piece born from a moment of quiet imperfection, lost in the shuffle of millions, but never truly invisible. The final year of the 20th century came cloaked in both promise and anxiety. 1999 was a time of rapid digital expansion, economic optimism, and cultural milestones. As the nation prepared to cross the threshold into a new millennium, the U.S. Mint maintained its steady rhythm, producing coins by the millions, as it had for decades. Among them, the Roosevelt dime, now a staple of American currency for over half a century, continued its quiet journey through vending machines, grocery store counters, and children's coin collections. To most, the 1999 dime was just another sliver of commerce, unnoticed and unremarkable. But the truth lingered in a faint sliver of imperfection, a barely perceptible flaw embedded in a handful of these dimes that would go unnoticed for years, hiding in plain sight until a chain of chance events brought it to light. The Philadelphia Mint produced the majority of the 1999 Roosevelt dimes, churning them out with expected precision, each bearing the familiar bust of Franklin D. Roosevelt, flanked by the year and the inscriptions, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." There were no commemorations, no special marks, nothing to set it apart from other years on the surface. But beneath the calm exterior of mass production, something slipped. A flaw, subtle yet telling, was born in a moment of mechanical misalignment. The press hadn't completely failed. It had merely shifted. Just enough to create a shadow. The first known specimen to catch attention didn't emerge until years later. In 2008, a man named Russell Morgan, a lifelong collector based in North Carolina, was sorting through a shoebox of mixed coins that had been gathering dust in his attic. Most of the contents were forgettable, common pennies, modern quarters, a few novelty tokens, but one dime stood out. At first, it wasn't clear why. It didn't gleam particularly bright. The edges were mildly worn. But something about Roosevelt's profile looked blurred. Not worn, not scratched, but doubled. Russell wasn't new to coin anomalies. He'd collected Lincoln cents and Mercury dimes since childhood and knew what doubling looked like. Under magnification, the details began to unfold. The word liberty showed a faint echo, a second impression beneath the first. In God We Trust bore similar ghosting, most visible on the letters IN and trust. Roosevelt's neck and jawline had a layered effect that seemed impossible under normal minting standards. Russell's pulse quickened. It looked like a double die, but not like the widely known errors from earlier decades. This one was refined, almost shy in its misprint, as though it were trying not to be noticed. He submitted the coin to a grading service. Weeks passed in silence, and he began to doubt what he'd seen. Then the results came. Double die obverse, 1999 Roosevelt dime, certified MS, 66. It was the first of its kind to be officially recorded. Word spread quickly among high-level collectors. Forums buzzed. Coin dealers whispered of the find in coin show backrooms. The timing couldn't have been more curious. 1999 was supposed to be a routine year, one of the last before the massive launch of the 50-state quarters program. Yet here was a quiet anomaly hiding within an otherwise standard issue coin. As awareness grew, others began to scrutinize their own collections. A second known specimen emerged from a bankroll in Arizona. A third appeared during a college fundraiser in Illinois. Each time, the same features, clear doubling on the obverse, especially in the inscriptions and Roosevelt's profile, all minted in Philadelphia, all bearing that elusive flaw. But they weren't common, not even close. Only a few dozen were confirmed over the next several years, making it one of the rarest modern Roosevelt dime errors ever discovered. Unlike dramatic off-center strikes or glaring minting defects, the 1999 double die required close inspection. It didn't scream for attention. It whispered. And that made it all the more desirable. Collectors began to appreciate the precision of the error, the restraint of its imperfection. This wasn't a coin that demanded recognition, it rewarded those who paid attention. Auction houses began seeing quiet bidding wars over high-grade examples. A specimen graded MS 67 sold for $10,800 in a private sale in 2013. By 2016, a coin of the same error type reached $15,200 at a public auction, setting a new record. The value crept higher, not in leaps but in steady, deliberate steps. Then came the surprise. In 2021, during a televised estate auction in Nevada, a coin dealer named Elise Vaughn secured what would become the highest-graded known example of the 1999 double die dime, an MS 68 specimen, with flawless luster and crisp, undeniable doubling. The bidding was expected to end around $18,000. It didn't. When the final gavel dropped, the coin had reached $37,000. The room fell silent. Then the realization set in, the market had shifted again. What drove the surge wasn't just scarcity. It was the narrative. The dime had gone from an overlooked error to a sought-after treasure, an artifact of the very transition between centuries. The coin symbolized a fracture in time, a moment of minute mechanical failure on the eve of a new digital age. And it had been hiding in plain sight for years, but the story didn't stop there. In late 2023, a previously undocumented variation of the error was found. A collector in Maine, using high-resolution imaging software, noticed doubling not just on the obverse, but traces on the reverse as well, especially in the torch and olive branches. It wasn't as pronounced, but it was there, a faint mirroring suggestive of a dual-hub misalignment. Experts reviewed the specimen and hesitated. It didn't match known machine doubling patterns, and its presence on both sides raised the possibility of something unprecedented for the Roosevelt series, a compound double die. Though still under review, the implications ignited new excitement in the community. Was this a rare evolution of the original error, or a completely separate incident born from the same flawed press? collectors turned back to their 1999 dimes. Some hunted through bags of circulated change. Others combed through forgotten folders and vault boxes. The possibility of an even rarer subtype had injected fresh urgency into the search. Today, the 1999 double-die Roosevelt dime stands as one of the most enigmatic coins of the modern era. It challenges assumptions about what can still be discovered in the world of numismatics. It serves as a quiet reminder that even in the era of digital perfection, old machines still misstep, and those moments, however small, can leave behind echoes of imperfection that captivate generations. In its finest condition, certified and preserved, the coin now commands values between $40,000 and $98,000. And yet, the mystery remains: how many are still out there, resting unnoticed in old jars, hidden inside forgotten drawers, waiting for someone to pause, to notice, and to listen to what the coin has quietly been saying all along? The year 2018 arrived with the usual hum of modern progress. Smartphones were ubiquitous, automation was reshaping entire industries, and the U.S. Mint continued its long-standing duty, pressing millions of coins into circulation with unrelenting consistency. Among the flood of coins distributed that year, the Roosevelt dime remained a fixture, reliable, unassuming, and often overlooked. Since 1946, the design had changed little. Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile sat confidently on the obverse, while the reverse bore the familiar torch, flanked by olive and oak branches. Nothing about the 2018 issue suggested it would be any different. Yet within the high-speed presses of the Mint, a fleeting imperfection gave birth to one of the rarest and most understated modern errors to ever reach the public's hands. The first whispers of something unusual began in late 2019. At a local coin show in Albuquerque, a modest collector named Dana Fields had been sharing finds from his recent roll hunts. He wasn't a professional numismatist, nor did he collect high-dollar rarities. His passion was rooted in curiosity, a desire to uncover something special where no one else had looked. That weekend, he handed a small velvet pouch to a dealer he'd known for years. Inside were a few dimes, all from 2018, pulled from circulation. One in particular stood out. The dealer, half listening, lifted the dime and tilted it beneath the light. Then paused. There was a slight ripple along Roosevelt's jawline, a faint echo behind the Liberty inscription, and a second impression that appeared to whisper from the coin's surface. He leaned closer, using a loupe. The doubling was subtle but deliberate. It was no trick of wear or circulation. It was precise, mechanical. A double die. Dana hadn't noticed the details, only that it looked a little weird. But as the dealer inspected it further, it became clear, this was something exceedingly rare. Roosevelt's features were slightly misaligned, his mouth showing a ghost image just beneath the primary strike. The word trust shimmered with a barely there twin. It was the kind of error that didn't leap out but crept up slowly, revealing its secret only under intense scrutiny. Within weeks, the coin had made its way to a third-party grading service. When the report came back, it confirmed the suspicion: 2018 Roosevelt dime, double die obverse, certified in mint state condition. It was the first officially recorded of its kind for that year. But unlike earlier famous errors, there had been no buzz around the 2018 dimes. No rumors. No chatter. It was as if the error had slipped completely under the radar, evading detection through sheer subtlety. Word circulated quickly through collector communities. Blogs speculated on the source of the misalignment. Some believed the error was born during a brief period of die instability at the Philadelphia Mint. Others suggested it might have come from a secondary die used only briefly before being corrected. Whatever the case, the error was rare. Incredibly rare. Only a handful more surfaced over the next year, each showing the same quiet doubling on Roosevelt's face and inscriptions. A coin discovered by a retired machinist in Oregon had slightly more pronounced doubling on the letters, "In God." Another, found in a charity coin drive in Wisconsin, showed faint mirroring near the base of the torch. All had the same date. All from Philadelphia. All bore the same kind of flaw, just inconsistent enough to suggest multiple dies may have been affected, albeit briefly. As word spread, collectors took notice. The 2018 dime error wasn't flashy or dramatic like the infamous 1969 yes or the 1955 double die cent. But it had a mystique of its own, a modern rarity from an era where the precision of minting was expected to be nearly flawless. Finding a double die in such a recent issue was like finding a misprint in a digital document, technically improbable and therefore all the more fascinating. Auction houses began quietly listing verified examples. A graded MS-65 piece sold for just over $6,000 in early 2021. By mid-2022, prices were climbing. One example, with sharp doubling visible to the naked eye under direct lighting, reached $13,500. But the real turning point came with a specimen sold at an exclusive West Coast collector's auction in early 2024. This dime had been pulled from a coin roll by a teenager in Nevada who initially dismissed it as a damaged coin. His grandfather, a longtime collector, recognized the significance and had it graded. The result was astounding: MS-68, with almost pristine surfaces and the clearest known doubling of the date and Roosevelt's profile. The auction bidding escalated rapidly. Collectors recognized that they weren't just bidding on a coin, they were bidding on a story, a mistake the machines weren't supposed to make anymore. When the hammer fell, the final price stunned the room, $41,000. The teenage seller, unaware of the magnitude of his discovery until the moment the gavel struck, was speechless. The buyer, a private collector from New York, later described the coin as a perfect imperfection, flawless in its flaw. What makes the 2018 Roosevelt dime error so unique is the duality of its nature. It represents modern minting, an age of automation and quality control, yet it bears the mark of human and mechanical fallibility. It is a relic of both precision and unpredictability. Even now, experts debate how many exist. Some believe no more than 30 to 40 specimens have survived in collectible condition. Others argue the true number may never be known, as many could still be hiding in jars, drawers, or lost in circulation forever. A twist emerged in late 2024 that added a new layer to the story. A researcher from a numismatic lab in Chicago was reviewing high-resolution scans of various 2018 dimes when she noticed an oddity on one specimen's reverse. It wasn't just the obverse that showed doubling, there was a faint doubling visible along the torch's flame and the outer lettering, United States of America. Microscopic examination revealed it wasn't post-mint damage. It was a double die reverse, paired with a double die obverse, an extremely rare dual-error combination. The coin was authenticated, and numismatic circles buzzed with the possibility that a batch of 2018 dimes may have been struck with both dies flawed, a rarity within a rarity. The coin, dubbed the Echo Flame, sold privately to a collector in Texas for an undisclosed sum believed to be well into the mid-five figures. Today, the 2018 Roosevelt dime stands as a testament to how even the most modern minting processes can't eliminate every flaw. And in those flaws lies the magic that drives collectors forward, the chance to discover something unique, unexpected, and priceless. Each of the known error specimens is now tracked and catalogued, with auctions and private sales drawing growing interest. What was once a mere 10 cents in change now commands the attention of collectors and investors alike. In the ever-evolving world of coin collecting, the 2018 Roosevelt dime with the double die obverse has secured its place in modern numismatic history. And for those fortunate enough to find one, its value can range from $22,000 to $76,000 depending on its condition, clarity, and rarity. It is not just a coin. It is a mystery sealed in metal, waiting to be found, and forever changing the fate of those who take the time to look just a little closer.